Hey everybody, Kyle Goth here from GoatFilmReviews.com and the Goat Film Reviews YouTube channel, and I just got back from press screening of the new film My Old Ass, directed by Megan Park. The movie stars Maisie Stella as Elliot. She is a young woman who has just graduated from school, is about to embark on her college degree, decides to celebrate her birthday by taking shrooms with her friends, and while she is high, she experiences a conversation with an older version of her, played by Aubrey Plaza. And basically they have this dialogue, and it causes her to rethink her existence and the relationship between the two as they continue this dialogue through phone calls and other meetings throughout the film. Causes her to appreciate her life more, or at least appreciate the questioning of appreciating her life. So this is a movie that I think on the outset, I like that it has an interesting premise to it. It's one that we've seen done before, and I think that's why it's smart that Megan Park doesn't spend too much time on the particulates of this story. She basically says she takes shrooms, she sees an older version of herself, she's kind of there, but like what's going on doesn't really matter. And I think that's the important step, is that if you're really intent on like having those like things fleshed out, that might be a problem for you in the narrative. It didn't bother me all that much because I really appreciate that when the film is written well enough, performed well enough, and directed well enough, you don't care about things like the fact that Aubrey Plaza doesn't entirely look like Maisie Stella, or you don't care about the fact that we don't have particulates as to what is happening here. We don't get that explanation. The movie just basically says to you, she takes shrooms, she sees an older version of herself, move on. And that was so refreshing that we didn't have to spend time going down the path of like spending time with that mystery element when it was far more invested in the character-driven elements of the story. Now, I think Maisie Stella does a pretty solid job as the lead actress. I think the moments when she's on the phone talking to her older self or like by herself performing aren't nearly as strong as the ones where she's in scenes with other people. She has terrific chemistry both with Aubrey Plaza as well as Percy Hines-White, who plays a character named Chad, who works for her father, someone that she's been told by her older self that she should stay away from. I think the moments with those, any scene where Maisie Stella is with another person, I think you can see the chemistry that she's able to kind of fold herself into with just about every performer on screen. I thought that was pretty magical. And I think scenes where she's talking to other people are where the film is at its strong point, as well as any scene where Aubrey Plaza is featured. And I'm talking physically or on the phone. Any scene with Aubrey Plaza is an absolute winner in this film. She is revelatory as the older version of Elliot because she's able to imbue that comedy as well. And I also think we tend to pull Aubrey Plaza and put her into a box that says she's really fun at the quirky comedy stuff. And I think that is denigrating to the strengths that she can bring to a number of films. I think she was misused in the film Megalopolis, which I just recently saw, but I think in My Old Ass, she gets a chance to really shine with not just her comedic chops, but just her general timing as a performer and her ability to draw drama, draw catharsis, draw emotional resonance out of simple dialogue. Like most of the scenes where she's at her breaking point, there's some really great emotional resonance from what she's able to do. It's not from simply the dialogue itself, it's from how she is able to mold it. And I think that's what really works about the film for me, is that relationship between those two and any scene where Aubrey Plaza. Now, I do wish we had more Aubrey Plaza in the film. I would say that having her more frequently, I think, would uptick a little bit more of the frenetic kind of movement of the film. There are some long stretches where Plaza is out of the film, where it's just Elliot kind of dealing with the situation, and there's a whole sequence where she's trying to reach the older self on the phone and she can't reach her, and it goes on for a while, and I think that kind of loses some of the central emotional arc. I shouldn't say it. That loses some of the momentum of that part of the story. Because I do think this is a film of two portions. This is young Elliot with old Elliot, and young Elliot with Chad. I think those are the two central character movement portions of the film. And I think that when Aubrey Plaza disappears for a large chunk of the second act, it does kind of slow up the momentum of that portion of the story. Thankfully, we have Percy Hines-White, who is quite good in the scenes with Maisie Stella, and is able to kind of make that portion of the story work really well in the absence of the other. But I think it would have been nice to have both. I think that way you could have had that juxtaposition, the conversation that was happening. And I think that may have been a difficult thing to do in terms of the writing of older Elliot, because she kind of warns her, don't hang out with Chad, and then she disappears, so Elliot has to deal with not having that kind of information. So I'm not exactly sure how that could have been improved, but I do think more Aubrey Plaza in the second act would have helped the momentum of that story. Overall, I thought the film was quite good. I didn't realize I was as emotionally affected as I was until the end. And I think that was the mark of a really great film, is that I didn't realize the emotions that I was experiencing watching the film until they had fully like come out near the end of the film, until I had felt that real emotional resonance of the climax of the film. And it was an incredibly moving finale. And one that I will definitely be recommending. I think Amazon MGM Studios made a great choice in releasing this film. I think it's definitely something worth checking out. I think it's definitely a movie maybe worth taking a family member to, a mother, a daughter, a father, a son. Take them to this movie and experience that kind of thing, because in a lot of ways, older Elliot is kind of a motherly figure, just kind of the exact opposite of regular Elliot's actual mother. But she is an older person who is imposing their ideas, who is sharing in that dialogue with their younger self. And I think that does create that dialogue where it's not exactly a movie about a mother and daughter, but it is between a daughter at two different stages of her life. And I think that's where the parental element comes into play. And I think it's definitely worth checking out in theaters or when it is eventually streaming. But I do think I think this is a solid, good movie that is very accessible, very funny at times. There's a whole sequence where Elliot has to come to terms with her previous Bieber fever, and I think that's a pretty solid one too. There's a number of scenes in the film that I didn't realize I was about to laugh as hard as I did until they happened, until they put themselves on there, and I realized how funny the movie is, and I realized how sad the movie is, and I realized how beautiful the movie is. And I think that is the mark, is that you don't realize what you're experiencing until it crescendos. And yeah, definitely have to recommend My Old Ass. Go ahead and check it out in theaters or on streaming in a couple of weeks or months. I don't have a specific streaming date for the film, but definitely worth checking out when you can. Thank you so much for joining me. And once you've seen the film, make sure to come back down here in the comment section and tell me your thoughts on My Old Ass. While you're down there, please like and subscribe. There are 2 free things you can do that help to support the channel, and you never miss new episodes of the show as they drop. You can also find goatfilmreviews.com for my many written reviews. You can find Goat Film Reviews on Facebook. You can follow me personally at Almighty Goatman on Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd, and Threads. And you can find my show Kyle and Nick on Film that I co-host with Nick Polachuk from the St. Paul Filmcast. We have new episodes of that show every single week. Join us for that. You can also check out the link down in the video description for the Minnesota Film Critics Alliance, of which I am a member. You can check out other film critics reviews of My Old Ass. You can check out more of my stuff too. We'll see you over there. Thank you so much for joining me, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.